It's Tuesday, July 9th, 2024. It's just a second after 7 p.m., and I appreciate y'all joining us for tonight's Board of Mayor and Alderman meeting for the city of Hendersonville, Tennessee. We're going to begin our meeting as we typically do. That's with a prayer and a pledge. And tonight we have joining us, providing us the prayer, is Jason Klein. He is the men's pastor at the Indian Lake Peninsula Church, and he is also the chaplain for the Fellowship of Christian Athletes. Jason, we appreciate very much what you... Yes?
Also ask for prayers for Dave Lamar. He's in the hospital and needs prayer. Dave Lamar, but former Parks Director of
thank you.
Officer Danny Ellis.
Okay. Yes.
Okay. So I appreciate it. Jason, again, I appreciate what you do and what your church does, and appreciate you being here tonight.
Gotcha. Thank you. Let's pray. God, I just want to thank you for bringing us together tonight. I want to thank you for each person that's here. Lord, we love Hendersonville, Tennessee. God, just thank you that we get to live here, and I thank you for the leaders that we have, and pray, God, you just give them wisdom. Lord, that they would look to you for everything that they need. Lord, for all the answers, all the solutions, Lord, because you provide all that for us, so we just have to look to you. And pray, God, we wouldn't look anywhere else. But, Lord, just pray for everyone here and all the things they've got going on. Protect their families. Help them, Lord, in all the situations. You know what everybody in here is going through. You know where they need help. And, again, we get that help from you. I pray, God, tonight for Dave Lamar and for Danny Ellis, Lord. You know what's going on there. I pray for healing for them, help for them, God. I pray for their families. God, just give them wisdom as they move forward of what to do, and give the doctors wisdom as well, Lord, there. We also pray for the family of Joe Bonzel. Lord, it's been such a blessing to people all over the world for many, many years. And God, pray for his family. Give them help during this time. Give them peace, Lord. Surround them with people who love them and can care for them, and give them that encouragement during this time. Lord, we just thank you for, again, where we live. We thank you for how much you love us, as you have a plan for our lives. And pray, God, that we would just surrender to you. Protect us all, Lord. Help us all to live a life that honors you. Thank you, God. It's a great night. In your name I pray. Amen.
Again, that's Jason Klein. He's the chaplain of Fellowship of Christian Athletes, and he is the men's pastor at Indian Lake Peninsula Church. Thank you, Jason. Appreciate it. Thanks so much. Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all. I need a motion to accept the agenda. We have a motion from Alderman Goodwin and a second from Alderman Garza. I'd like to suggest a couple of changes. We need to remove the first presentation, A. The person that was going to receive that is not available to be here tonight. Another suggestion I would like to make is that we group items 3 through 9, and I hope that somebody would make that that amendment. Appreciate it. Alderman Garza makes that motion. Alderman Goodwin. We're adding, we're removing item A, and we're going to group items 3 through 9. Any discussion on that? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say no. Next, I'd like to add item number 10 under other agenda items. This is something that is sort of timely. Alderman Collins, can you explain this for us?
This is so confusing and kind of a mess, but in the on the Arts Council, 2 members moved from one ward to a different ward. We redistrict, and fewer than half of the people are in the wards that they started out in, which has created confusion. And then with a 7-person board, 4 are officers and 2 co-chair the arts festival, it really doesn't leave wiggle room. And so we need to have 2 members from Ward 4, which leaves Ward 6 unrepresented. But we've spoken, and that's acceptable to the alderman from Ward 6, who did appoint someone who then moved out of their ward and is still on the board, and it's a mess. And the original reappointment form was turned in April. And we've been trying to work through these issues to maintain the right mix of people on the board. So I will really appreciate if we can make an exception and go ahead and get this on the agenda and vote on it. It was previously on the agenda for Jamil Logue, I believe in April, for consideration, and then it didn't come up for a vote when we realized that there were all these weird conflicting issues.
So what,
So
what,
I'm moving to add that as number 10.
okay, do we have a second? So we have a second from Alderman Goodwin. We are just, this is just a motion to add as number 10. If you want to speak on that item when we get to it, that would be the more appropriate spot. The request at this point is just to add it to the agenda. And again, it's very confusing. I apologize, I didn't have the paperwork, but it's been a very fluid and changing situation for the past several days, if not for the past couple of months. So, we have a motion and a second to add number 10 with Jamil, help me out.
Logue.
Thank you. To be considered for the Arts Council. Any discussion on adding that item? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say no. So that will be item number 10. So at this point, we have 2 amendments, but 3 changes. We're removing presentation A. We are grouping items 3 through 9, and we're adding item 10. Any other discussion on our agenda? All those in favor of approving the agenda with those 2/3 changes, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say no. That passes unanimously. Thank you. Next, we have Kathy Martin with her assistant, Jimmy, and appreciate you being here. And you're going to give out some awards.
Yes, I am.
Oh, and I should also mention Greg, also here.
That's right, and Greg is here as well. Thank you, Mayor and Alderman. It's good to be here tonight and get to introduce you to some of our fine citizens that really take a lot of pride in their properties and have been recognized by their neighbors for that. So thank you for letting us be here to do that, and thank you, Greg, for being here with Ace that will present the gift cards to each of the winners. So first on our list, from Ward 1, on Shannon and E.G. Bright. And that is not them. And that is Shannon and E.G. Bright, and that's Elizabeth Grace, I think you said, but E.G. is short for that. And they're at 110 Riviera. They've done a beautiful job. Their neighbors really appreciate them. They've taken on this ranch, and they've done a lot of do-it-yourself projects that the neighbors really appreciate. They appreciate the changes, and in fact, someone said that it's the highlight of their day to drive home from work and see your project. So thank you so much. We do appreciate you. And Greg will give you that. Thank you. I think he already knows him. Okay, and if you'll just stand up there. Thank you. And on Ward 2 at 125 Cherokee Road, we have, no, we don't have them here. I don't see our folks here tonight, so we'll move on. Maybe they'll come in. Maybe the weather has stopped them, right? And Ward 3 also, 225 Iris is Jack and Pat Garrison. And I don't see them. So again, the weather may have just gotten in the way here for us tonight. But at 122 West Ridge Drive in Ward 4, that's Miss Diana South. And with her tonight is her son, Ronnie Heath. And if you would please come up. She has been in Hendersonville for a while, but has lived in this home since 2012, I believe she said. And thank you so much. She and her husband have worked really hard. The neighbors appreciate it so much. You've gotten several nominations, and we thank you so much. And this is her son, and he's a big helper too. So we thank you and appreciate your being here, and Mr. Greg will give you that. And okay. Thank you so much. And in Ward 5, this is Miss Kathy Davison. So Kathy, if you would come on up. And she's at 122. Is that, come on over here? Yeah. Is it Tamaris? Tamaris Drive. And is that not just gorgeous? It is really, wow. She was actually on the tour of garden tours for master gardeners. And you know, this was behind her house. The front is beautiful, but the back was just stunning, and we would never have known that had she not been nominated, you know, by neighbors. So we just thank you so much for all that you do and for making our city a beautiful place to live. Thank you. And I know that Miss Sandra is not able to be here tonight, Sandra Candro. She's at 200 Wessington Place, and she is a retired Hendersonville High School teacher. But her neighbors say she's out riding the mower and trimming the bushes and mulching and working all the time, and it really shows off and looks great, and they appreciate her so much. So she's not able to be here, as I said. So the Garrisons haven't come in? Nope. And Morris? Not, so we'll be sure to get this to them. We did have a business winner as well, and that was over on Rockland Road, and they were not able to get a before picture to me, but that place was bad. It really didn't look good at all. This is a huge transformation, and this is John and Robin Schaffer. It's actually S-H-A-F-F-E-R, and they have done a beautiful job there. So the name of the business is just their name, Investors. So it's John and Robin Schaffer Investors. So that's great. And if you guys get a chance to drive by and see these places, I mean, if it's not in your ward, you may not, you know, see them all the time, but they really do make a difference in our city and beautifully maintained. So thank you so much, Mayor. Okay.
Thank you all. Casey, where do you want us? Where do you want that? Okay. In that case, we're going to back up and duck. Otherwise, it looks sort of awkward. So. Thank you all. Congratulations. So we don't have any public hearings. We do have minutes. I'm going to entertain a motion. We approve the minutes for June 11th, 2024, the meeting we had, and the minutes that were provided in your packet. We have a motion from Alderman Goodwin, a second from Alderman Robertson. Alderman Peterson.
Abstain.
Okay. Any other discussion? Alderman Sassy.
I'll be abstaining as well.
Okay. All those in favor of approving the minutes that were provided, do you please say aye? Those opposed, please say no. And we have 2 abstentions from Alderman Peterson and Alderman Sassy. We have 2 people signed up for citizen comments. Speakers must identify themselves by name and address. Public comment shall be limited to 5 minutes per person, which time is not transferable to other speakers. All comments are to be directed to the presiding officer, that's me, not to aldermen, city staff, or other members of the public. Comments must address issues, not individuals or personalities. Personal attacks shall not be tolerated. Comments may support or oppose particular issues or measures, but the motives of those with differing views shall not be questioned or attacked. Malicious comments will not be allowed. Speeches for or against particular candidates running for public office shall not be allowed. Dearlyn Ferris, Alyssa Drive.
Darylyn Ferris, 109 Elisa Drive. I'm going to be reading from the Tennessee Constitution, Article 11, Miscellaneous Provisions, Section 13. The General Assembly shall have the power to enact laws for the protection and preservation of game and fish within the state, and such laws may be enacted for and applied and enforced in particular counties or geographical districts designated by the General Assembly. The citizens of this state shall have the personal rights to hunt and fish subject to reasonable regulations and restrictions prescribed by law. The recognition of this right does not abrogate or void any private or public property rights, nor does it limit the state's power to regulate commercial activity. Traditional manners and means may be used to take non-threatened species. I need to add that all of these have been approved through the 23rd General Assembly, even though some was approved prior. Okay. It is unlawful for any person to hunt, kill, trap, ensnare, or destroy, or to attempt to hunt, kill, trap, ensnare, or destroy, to have such personal possessions, any form of wildlife, except subject to the restrictions and by the means and devices, and at the time prescribed by this title. This is taken from the Tennessee Code, for 2021, Chapter 4, Part 1. This falls under illegal taking, possession, or destruction of wildlife, penalty or violations. Is unlawful, according to Tennessee Code 74108, to hunt, shoot at, chase, catch, or kill without dogs or any wild animals, wild bird, or wild fowl from a public road's right-of-way, or to shoot any firearms across or on any public road. It is unlawful to hunt, shoot at, or kill, or without dogs on public lands and waters within 100 yards of a visible dwelling house, whether or not such dwelling house is on public or private property. Now, also, it is unlawful for any person or group of persons to willfully throw or cast or cause the throw or cast the rays of spotlight, headlight, or other artificial light from any motor vehicle or vessel, or with aid of any motor vehicle vessel, on or to from highway or in any field, woodland or forest, or the waters of the state, in apparent attempt to intend to locate deer by the use of such light. Under Tennessee Code 2021, Chapter 74, Chapter 4, Part 1, Hunting and Fishing, 74-116. Notwithstanding any law or any public or private act to the contrary, it is unlawful for any person to hunt or take deer, bear, or elk, or with any shotgun using ammunition loaded with more than one solid ball or rifled slug, or with any rifle using rimfire cartridges. Bows and arrows are prohibited except as prescribed by the Fish and Wildlife Commission. It is unlawful to hunt, pursue, capture, possess, transport, or store any deer, so forth, at any time or in any area other than at times within the area designated by the Commission and its open seasons as provided by its title. There are strict laws against these. The punishment is great. It starts, like, for instance, like $1,000. That's the beginning. Also, if you're going to post your land, it has to, the approved sign must be placed along the property boundary at intervals or greater than 100 yards and at the major entrances. Not less than $1,000, as I said, for each of the following that is illegally killed or possessed. That includes wild turkey, white-tailed deer with no antlers, and also white-tailed deer with less than 8 points.
Ms. Ferris, you have 30 seconds.
Thank you, sir. Okay, in addition to punishments, the killing, you will violate your license. You will not get it returned until, according to the court order, punishment and pay. So therefore, and there is a prison sentence for this too. So one more thing, the discharging of a firearm, included a bow, is prohibited in within 150 yards of a recreation site, a residence, or any place where people are likely.
Ms. Ferris, thank you. Next we have Stephen Rozek of Lawrence Way.
This is according to USDA, by the way.
Good evening, Steve Rozak, 110 South Lawrence Way here in Hendersonville. I attended the deer workshop here at City Hall on June 29th and listened to the 8:30 presentation by Blaine High of USDA. During the question and answer session, I asked him specific questions regarding the FLIR, forward-looking infrared device used for the deer survey. He showed me an infrared video of deer in a wooded area on the Indian Lake Peninsula. The short video did not show any residences. This sparked my interest to research the USDA's Wildlife Service report to the City of Hendersonville Board of Mayor and Aldermen. I compared page 4 of that heat signature report to an actual Google map to locate the actual streets involved. The USDA allegedly skewed the deer population numbers for the Indian Lake Peninsula by simply multiplying their stated figure of 81.3 deer per square mile by the total area of 6.67 square miles to come up with a total of 542 deer. The heat signature map for the peninsula negates their above fictitious numbers. Now, if I take the USDA numbers of above and the alleged information that the deer herd will double every 3 to 5 years and reverse those calculations back to when the deer committee was started, thus the deer population in this area was 271 in 2021, 135.5 in 2018, and only 67.7 in 2015. I was surprised that both presentations in the main meeting room were conducted by the USDA. The individuals organizing the workshop should have had requested the TWRA to present their agency's opinion on the herd. At previous deer monitoring and control committee meetings, TWRA representatives have stated that the deer herd was healthy and the population did not meet a threshold that would require immediate attention. This confirmed to me that the Deer Committee is far from an unbiased group. Over the past week, I physically drove the area of the Indian Lake Peninsula at various times of day. Yes, I did see deer, but not at the quantity expected. In Hendersonville Standard, June 27th, the chair of the Deer Committee is quoted as saying, "The agency currently has 14 active permits in Hendersonville, with one hunter having harvested 30 deer on one street. Who authorized this? Or is it another fabrication of facts by that committee?" Two city departments, the Planning Commission, along with the Buildings and Codes, must accept partial responsibility for the deer issue. The unlimited growth on former farmland and not requiring the land to be set aside for wildlife habitat. Also, no requirements for developers to install deer-resistant shrubbery and landscaping. The 2023 deer population resident feedback survey, as reported in the Tennessean, stated that the survey recorded 2,998 responses with 2,177 city residents, or 73% saying that the city had too many deer. The 73% is a manipulated percentage to promote the agenda. The survey was conducted when Hendersonville's population was 62,000. Those responding to the survey was only 4.8% of the population, and 3.5% believe that the deer are a problem. Thus, approximately 96% of the citizens are unconcerned about the deer. I request that before any decision by this board is made to kill off 30% of the deer herd, read and comprehend all aspects of the rules of Tennessee Wildlife Resource Agency, Chapter 1660-1-21, Rules and Regulations for Nuisance Animals and Damage Control. Who will enforce these regulations? Compliance within the city limits will be extremely difficult at best.
Steve, you have 30 seconds.
Lastly, the USDA is a federal agency, appears to be trying to circumvent the authority of the state of Tennessee. U.S. Constitution 10th Amendment states, "The powers not delegated to the United States by the Constitution, nor prohibited by it to the state, are reserved to the state respectively, or to the people." Thank you.
Steve, thank you. We don't have any items on the consent agenda. We're on to ordinance and resolutions. The first one we have on our agenda is the second and final reading of ordinance 2024-11. This is an ordinance to decrease the local option sales tax rate on the purchase of groceries from 2.75% to 2.25% within the corporate limits of Hendersonville. Alderman Skidmore, would you like to make a motion? So moved. We have a motion, Alderman Skidmore, and Alderman Robertson, a second? And a second. Any discussion? Alderman Sassy.
Thank you, Mayor. So unfortunately, I missed the last meeting where this was first voted in. I was happy to see that it was approved, which was expected, but I think this is definitely what our citizens are looking for. You know, they voted for a sales tax increase, and we appreciate that. You know, we have it's really helped balance the budget here for the city and get some of these projects done that we need to get done. And the grocery tax reduction has been an idea of the board's, and since the beginning, and I really appreciate that we're doing this. However, when I watched the video, there wasn't a whole lot of information behind the time frame that the state offers to us to enact this ordinance. And so I asked Lance to look into this for me. And Lance, can you kind of go over what you found is from the Department of Revenue, what their requirements are, and then the requirements on this legislation that the state has passed on the time frame for when we can enact this?
Sure. Under state law for the referendum or any change to the local option sales tax, the statute reads that it cannot go into effect within 60 days of the ordinance being passed, but the Department of Revenue requires 90 days instead of 60 days to get the notices out and to implement it. And that is what's been in the past for the local option sales tax. So with the grocery local option sales tax, it's brand new. It was just passed by the General Assembly upon the request of this board. And so we were trying to determine if that 90 days still applied to with the Department of Revenue, and we confirmed that it does. So for an ordinance to be in effect, it has to pass 2 readings here, obviously, and then it has to be published, which we usually say about 2 weeks for that. And then once that's done, it's sent to the Department of Revenue, and then the clock starts ticking for the 90 days. Also, with regard specifically to this grocery tax local option, the statute specifically says that it cannot go into effect before October the 1st. So as we sit here today, I think we did some calculations or whatever. I don't know that we can meet the October the 1st anyway, but I'm not sure if that answers your question.
Well, we can, but it cuts it close.
Yeah.
Right? It's like 115 days, and I think that's just too close to call, but I also think that February 1st is probably too soon. I did get some calls from a few residents, actually 2 emails and 2 calls, just wondering, why wait? And which, made me want to investigate this further. I do think that 115 days for October 1st is probably a little light. But if we could do November 1st, I think that's enough time for them to enact this. That's approximately 145 days from today, the second reading of this ordinance, to post it and then give the Department of Revenue time to set this up and enact it, which would reduce this by about 60 days. I think, we've agreed that we want to get this done. I think we should get it done as quickly as possible. So I would like to make an amendment that we adjust the effective date to November 1st.
So page 16, the motion is to change that from February 1st, 2025 to November 1st, 2024. Alderman Sass, anything else?
That's all.
Okay.
Can I say something real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
This different topic kind of, but where it says ordinance shall take effect on February 1st, 2025, both at the state level and the local level, that should not be there. Where it says both at the state level and the local level,
Okay.
that should be taken out. If that could be part of whatever.
Okay, so maybe we come back and deal with that.
Okay.
So here's my concern is, what if the state isn't ready? Then what happens, Lance?
Well, yeah, if they're not ready, then we can't do it. I think the issue that Alderman Sassy and I have spoken about, which I have learned, and maybe I'm not the best person to speak to this, which was with Mr. Eckenroth, our COO, and Tamara, our finance director, is us implementing it, because the correspondence I saw that between Tamara and the Department of Revenue is that we're not going to get a breakdown of what is groceries and what is not groceries. It even said the word manually have to figure that out as to what is a grocery and what is not a grocery. So, that's just my understanding that there's some implementation challenges here at City Hall, but I'm not the best one to speak to that.
So let me be more specific. If the state's not ready and we pass this in a convenience store that has groceries, they're being told by us, you don't have to collect this, but the Tennessee Department of Revenue is expecting to collect it.
Well, if the state's not ready, is that what you're saying?
Well, if we pass this, what obligation do they have to collect it? But the state's going to be telling them to collect it.
It's going to be confusing, but if we pass it and the state is not ready, then it's not going to go into effect. So they're going to be collecting it, and I don't know how that is resolved. That may not be a big deal. I don't know. Could be. But the issue, I guess, is if the state is ready, but we're not ready, and then all of a sudden, I guess, again, I don't want to speak for our finance director or chief of operations, but it could be a challenging issue to figure out how to account for it, because I think it has to have its own special account, so every cent of the grocery tax has to be accounted for.
Tamara, can you work your way up here? But I'm going to come back, but I'm going to go to Alderman Robertson for now.
Yeah, thank you. This is my ordinance that I worked with Lance on, and the reason I changed it to February the 1st is this is a novel action for the state. The state has never done this before, and my own experience with the state as far as DOT is they don't meet the deadlines. I don't want to promise our residents that we're going to do something and it not happen. So I feel very comfortable, since it's my resolution, I feel very comfortable with the original language of leaving this in. We know it can be implemented by February the 1st. There's no question to that. And so I would ask that the board disapprove this amendment and stick with the original language of the ordinance. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Alderman Robertson. Alderman Bergdorf.
Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate the sentiment in this, and appreciate the fact that we may appreciate Alderman Robertson's ordinance too. But what I do not know what would be the problem if states, can somebody walk me through that? If the state does not approve by October 1st like they say they have, what is the plan B for that, or what are the results of that? Do we have any idea?
Is that you or is it Tamara?
Tamara?
Anybody? Yeah, thank you. Is my question, do you understand my question?
I think I
Okay.
understand your question. So I don't think,
What are the consequences of passing it tonight if the state is not ready? And I'm just not familiar with it.
so the concern or the questions that I've posed to the state that we're awaiting some answers on are how will we know what that additional half-penny sales tax revenue is when the groceries are reduced off of there, because there is no way that we get that information. So being able to distinguish between our original regular local option sales tax and that additional revenue, when you back that groceries off, they don't have a calculation to do that, so we would be doing an estimate and not having actual numbers.
Okay.
So that's what we're trying to work with the state to get them to provide the information that we need to be able to know exactly how much should go into that new PIP fund
Okay.
versus not. And it's not necessarily an issue of being able to implement the change in the tax rate, it's being able to provide the information to us so we can account for these how you all have voted and wanted to account for them. You know, currently the state sees it, local option sales tax, as a general fund dollar, that's general purpose use. We've made the decision, or you all have made the decision, that we want to track those separately so we can be more accountable to the, to the citizens.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where that concern is coming into play.
I see. So it's a little more complicated than just a straightforward tax.
Yeah.
And moving the money where it needs to be as far as the PIP fund in
Yeah.
our budgets.
Yes, exactly.
All right.
And yeah, getting that data that shows those amounts. It's really easy when the whole amount is increased because then it's just a percentage-based calculation.
Yes.
But when you take a portion out that we don't know exactly what that portion is,
Okay.
because we don't get a breakdown of what's groceries versus not. And
Okay.
when I asked the state, they told me I can look at the grocery stores and do a guesstimate.
Okay.
So,
All right. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank
you're
you, Mayor.
welcome.
Thank you, Tim. Thank you, Alderman Bergdorf. So we've got a motion on the floor to amend this. Any other discussion? Jason, ready for us? He's shaking his head no. Sorry. Oh, back to you. Okay. Well, that's fine. We weren't doing anything else.
Yeah, just one more little thing. So we're going to go ahead and vote to include the language November 1st in this ordinance, correct?
Yes,
Okay.
that's what the vote is coming up.
Now, if we vote to approve this and the state is not ready, what happens?
Well, it won't go into effect until the state says it can go into effect, but I'm not sure if that will cause some legal confusion as to when retailers are collecting and even maybe paying, and us not being able to allow to take it. So, I mean, I don't know. That's a good question. The state's never been faced with this either. I mean, this is a brand-new law for the state. So I really can't answer that. I don't know what will happen. But it's not going to be in effect until the state's ready. I don't know if they'll be ready, in 90 days or not. Sounds to me like the real question is, will we be ready, though?
That's what it sounds like.
No.
All right, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Alderman Bergdorf, thank you. Thank you, Lance. Alderman Garza.
Yes, and I think both of you guys are right. I'd love to move it up to November to save money, especially for Christmas shopping, food shopping for Christmas. I think that's very admirable, but I'm gonna have to go with Eddie on this one, because I deal with the state. I've been dealing with the state at New Shackle Island now for 2 years, and we can't get anything accomplished. So if the state takes more time, because that's how unfortunately they operate, I don't want to take the risk of getting into that legal mumbo jumbo where we want to do it here and they're not ready and we don't know what the groceries are. And my issues, I like what you're saying, but dealing with the state's not an easy thing to do.
Alderman Garza, thank you. Alderman Sassy.
Yeah, thank you. Just one last point before a vote. They said they need 90 days. It was specifically in the legislation that they needed 90 days. We're saying, take an additional 2 months, 55 days, of almost 2 months. I think that's plenty of time to give them. They've said we only need 90 days to enact this, and if it takes them 90 days, and then we can take that additional 55 days to do whatever's needed on our side, then we should be in a spot where is this a moot point, and we can get this enacted. I think we should follow the guidelines that they enacted. They've set this up to be a specific way. They've informed us that they can do it in 90 days, and we should hold them to that. And in fact, we're giving them even additional time beyond that, and getting it set up, like you said, for Christmas, or and just at an earlier date than originally planned. That's all. Thank you.
Alderman Sassy, thank you. Jason, you ready for us? All those in favor of the amendment, please press the green button. Those opposed, press the red one. So that fails 4-8. Those voting in favor, Alderman Collins, Sassy, Martin, and Bergdorf. Those against, Alderman Skidmore, Peterson, Garza, Goodwin, Garten, Waters, Robertson, and myself. So we're back to the main motion of ordinance 2024-11. I asked Lance about that wording there that says both at the state level and the local level. He said, you want to explain that?
It's a typo. It was left in there from when it was changed from the original, so we can correct that without any amendment.
Okay, appreciate that. Okay. Any other discussion on this item? All those in favor of second reading of ordinance 2024-11, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say no. That passes unanimously. Now we're on to reading Resolution 2024-26. This is a resolution approving the Sumner County Inmate Services Agreement. Alderman Peterson. Motion?
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion from Alderman Peterson and a second from Alderman Goodwin. Alderman Peterson, would you like to be added as a sponsor?
Yes, Mayor.
Okay, without objection, we're going to do that. Any other discussion on this item? I know it went to Public Works Committee a couple weeks ago, and I think did it just go to Public Safety? Or was it General Committee?
General
Okay, 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 appreciate that. Alderman Sassy.
Thank you, Mayor. I have a concern about this. I understand, I was reading through the staff notes on page, what is this, 22? And it says, an inmate is being supervised by, if an inmate is being supervised by a city employee and working within the scope of the interlocal agreement, then the city would not be liable for any injury sustained while on a public service work detail. And the key thing there that I was concerned about was supervised by a city employee. So are we saying that these inmates, they may not, I mean, I understand they may not be convicted of violent crimes, but are we saying that a city employee would be supervising these and not a member of the police or the sheriff's department?
Probably the best person to answer that is either our COO or our Parks Director. It looks like our Parks Director is more eager to walk up to the microphone. Thank you, Andy.
Can you repeat the question, sir?
Yes, sure. It doesn't say this in the ordinance, it says
A
this in the
city
staff
employee
notes.
would be
Yeah, a
supervising.
city employee would be.
That is correct. We
supervising.
have a specific job titles within our, been in place for many years, crew supervisor, and in that job description is an inmate crew supervisor. We have several city employees that go to training at the county to be a supervisor, so that they, when these people are released to us for the day, we have employees that supervise them.
Okay, are they armed?
No, sir. Well, they could, I'm not going to answer that. We don't arm them. By the new state laws that went in a few months ago, we definitely have some employees that go through the process with HPD that they could be armed.
Okay,
But they're not armed with, we don't have any
We
Parks
don't have
employees.
official, we don't arm them.
okay. Okay, thank you, Andy.
You're welcome.
Appreciate that. Or
Alderman Sassy,
Director Gilly.
Alderman Sassy, anything else?
So what is that portion that says the city would not be liable for any injury sustained while on a public service work detail? Is that injury by, who's the injury by?
Where is the, I'm sorry, where are you specifically?
On the staff notes, number 2, second paragraph. Page 22.
Sorry. Yes, well, I'm sorry, what was your question?
So it says the city would not be liable for any injury sustained while on a public service work detail. Who is that including? Is that the inmates? Is that our staff who are supervising them? Or is that people and kids who could be at the parks?
Well,
when this happens?
under state law, the city is not liable for anything that happens if the inmate escapes or causes injury to somebody else. That the city is not liable for that by state law. This is speaking to whether or not, if an inmate is injured, would the city be liable only to the extent of medical expenses, and the city would not be responsible for that under state law, except if the city was for somehow negligent in causing the accident. Like if the prisoner is in the transportation of the city and trying to think of an analogy that's not so brutal. If the city employee is grossly negligent, if they took too much medication or for whatever reason and cause an accident, then perhaps the city at most would be liable for the medical bills of the injuries to the inmate. But without the negligence of the city, then even if the inmate is injured, the city is not responsible for the medical bills or any liability.
Okay.
And that's That's not anything to do with the contract or the negotiations between the county and the city. That's all state law. And I can give you the site to it if you, it's under TCA 41-3-107.
I'll look that up later.
Alderman Sass, anything else?
No, that's all.
Okay, thank you. Alderman Bergdorf.
Thank you, Mayor. Are there any other costs associated besides this $4.50 per day for the device, the GDP monitoring device?
Costs would be, we have to go and pick them up from the jail and bring them to the park and take them back. We're required to feed them lunch that day, and we also provide clothing so that they're not in their inmate clothing when they're working within the parks.
Okay.
Typically, since I've been the parks director, when we've had the inmates, we have budgeted around $13,000 to $15,000 per year for that, and we typically get a crew of 3 to 4 people who average working about 30 hours a week.
Okay. And those are the only costs that we incur?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you very much. I
Yes,
appreciate
sir.
that.
I will, in full transparency, we didn't know this was coming, so in this budget that we just passed, we put 0 in that line item, so we'll probably come back at the mid-year budget and make a guesstimate on what we need to add to that.
All right, thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you, Eddie. Alderman Bergdorf, thank you.
Thank you.
Alderman Peterson.
Yes, Mayor, thank you. We discussed this at length with Director Gillies' guidance tonight at General Committee, and I just wanted to mention in this agreement with the interlocal agreement between Sumner County and Hendersonville that these selected inmates on the inmate crew will not present a threat to the health and safety of the city or area of residence. Basically, these are trustees that are helping out the Parks Department doing tasks like weed eating, which we have so many parklands now that this will free up other staff to do other work like getting tournaments ready in fields set for people coming into town to use our field. So I fully support this, and also wanted to mention that the park staff are fully trained by the county that are supervising these inmates. So, we've talked about negligence, but we are certainly going above and beyond our training to be able to receive these inmates again. And we have had inmate labor before, so I'm glad that we're able to do this again. And I got to also look at a substantial cost saving that we're spending $450 a day for an ankle monitor, and we buy them lunch, and that's it. That's free labor, basically. And it's a big cost saving for the city, so I fully support this. Thank you.
Alderman Peterson, thank you. And Alderman Peterson, I think it's worth mentioning, you're the liaison to the Parks Board. So I appreciate that.
Yes, I am, and I appreciate what our park board does, especially our park staff. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other discussion? All those in favor of Resolution 2024-26, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say no. That passes unanimously. Thank you all. Now we're on to other agenda items, and when we set the agenda, we agreed to group items 3 through 9, and that is the reappointment of Nicholas Gamble to the Hendersonville Arts Council, the reappointment of Meredith Hunter to the Industrial Development Board, the reappointment of Jeremiah Bennett to the Parks Board, the reappointment of Ken Hessen to the Parks Board, the reappointment of Bob Montoya to the Parks Board, the reappointment of Robert Perry to the Parks Board, and the appointment of Jerry Luzak to the Historic Zoning Commission. I need a motion, please. We have a motion from Alderman Goodwin and a second from Alderman Garza. I do need to let y'all in on something. I emailed this out the other day, that redistricting has had an impact on these reappointments as well as on the next item that we're going to discuss. This is about as confusing as what Rachel tried to explain a little bit earlier. So let me tell you. So Ken Hessen, he is currently representing Ward 2, He is being nominated for an at-large mayoral appointment. Jeremiah Bennett, currently a mayoral appointment, is being nominated to represent Ward 5. Now, I talked to the Ward 5 aldermen about 2.5 months ago. They both agreed that they were okay with this. Bubba Perry, currently representing Ward 5, is being nominated to represent Ward 2. I talked to both the Ward 2 aldermen, and they were fine with that as well. The reason we have to do that is because of redistricting, and everybody wanted to keep those 4 people, including Mr. Montoya. So that's why, that's sort of why the timing and why it's sort of odd that we're having to do those 3 all together. Alderman Peterson.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor, for clarifying Robert Bubba Perry. I just wanted to mention, you did bring up that I'm the board liaison for parks, that these 4 members that are being reappointed to the Parks Board are outstanding people in the community. Parks meets monthly. We always have a full agenda. The Parks Board members take their duties very seriously, and I wholeheartedly recommend all 4 of these be reappointed. Thank you.
Alderman Peterson, thank you. Any other discussion? All those in favor of making these appointments and reappointments in items 3 through 9, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say no. That passes unanimously. Next, we have on our agenda the appointment of Samil, mispronounced it, Logue, for the Arts Council. I'm making that nomination because a nomination for a seat that is not specific to that person's ward that they live in needs to come from me. I appreciate very much Alderman Collins, who is our liaison to the Arts Council, of continuing to encourage this. Does anybody need an explanation of where this is? We sort of got it before, but we have an open seat, and we have somebody very willing to fill it. All those in favor of Samil Logue to, we need a second on that. We have a second from Alderman Garten. All those in favor of Samil Logue being appointed, somewhat reappointed to the Arts Council, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say no. That passes unanimously. Thank you. Next, we have brief committee reports. Chairman Peterson, General Committee.
Yeah, Mayor, General Committee met tonight. We had 3 items on the agenda. Number 3, we just heard, that was the inmate services agreement. But we also have 2 others that were extending terms of the Golf Course Commission members, as well as establishing compensation for members on certain boards. And if anyone on the board had any questions, I wonder if Jason Gallo could maybe do that report for me.
I think you did most of the report already, so no. So there were the 3 that we discussed. And the first one was Ordinance 2409, amending the Title II, Chapter 4, Section 2-401, extending the terms of the Golf Course Commission. This is changing the terms from 2 years to 4 years and putting them on rotation so you don't have all 5 board members rotating off at the same time. So that was approved unanimously. Ordinance 2412, ordinance amending the municipal code for the Board of Parks and Recreation, the Golf Course Commission, the Beer Board, and the zoning ordinance establishing compensation. This was approved during the budget process, but now we're going in and adjusting the municipal code to reflect these board members have the option to be paid. It would be retroactive because this still has to go through 2 additional readings beyond just general committee. So if that is approved, then the payment would be retroactive to the July 1, which was what was approved in the budget. So the last one was the one that you just voted on, which was the Sumner County Inmate Services Agreement. All 3 of those were approved unanimously. Answer any questions?
Thank you, Jason.
Yep.
Oh, Alderman Collins.
I think I might have misunderstood. You said that the community board members would have the option to be paid, so you're going to ask them if they want it and they can decline?
Correct.
Okay. I didn't understand that previously. That's
through the budget process, we heard from our office as we tried to work with people to do the onboarding paperwork. They felt like their service to the city didn't need to be compensated.
I can understand that. Thank you.
Yep.
Alderman Collins.
Thank you, Jason. Thank you, Mayor.
Oh, hold on, Alderman Bergdorf.
Hey, how you doing? Caught me off guard there. So the compensation piece.
Yes.
It's been batted around a lot, and it was written into the budget. I don't know that I guess it's something that's option. I agree with, well, I'm misunderstanding with Alderman Collins there. It was an option so that the volunteer does not have to accept it.
Correct.
Okay. I know most of us up here aren't serving because we want the hefty paycheck that we get for serving up here. And I want to encourage, I think volunteerism is very important in the city, in our community, in our state and nation. It goes to demonstrate the character that we as a city and citizens possess. And I encourage everyone to volunteer as many hours as they can to the various boards. Volunteerism is a great way to serve your neighbors and to serve your city. I just wanted to say that. Thank you very much.
Alderman Bergdorf, thank you. Thank you, Jason. Thank you, Alderman Peterson. Next, we have public safety report from Chairman Goodwin.
Had 3 items to discuss tonight. We talked about Country Hills Golf Course, pretty much going to stop sledding at Country Hills due to the extensive cost and damage that's been done with people sneaking onto the golf course. We had a discussion about the UTV use in the Drakes Creek Park. That will probably stop for the time being. And we discussed motorized vehicles on the Greenway, which are illegal. And it would ask you, the other item, to keep Officer Danny Ellis in your prayers. His cancer has returned, and that concludes my report.
Chairman Goodwin, thank you. Alderman Martin, Planning Commission.
How do I gotta follow that? Yeah. All righty. So in the Planning Commission, we had one basic project that we discussed. It's the Molly Walton Industrial site plan that was submitted. It's at 157 Molly Walton Drive. You guys may be more familiar with it as the Music City Center project that we were hoping that would come through. That apparently is not going to happen. So they've submitted a site plan which has more warehouse distribution uses on it, still consistent with a lot of the other building uses that are in there. That site plan was approved. We also added to the development plan the added use of light manufacturing. That's something that the city of Hendersonville has kind of been lacking. While it's not really contemplated in the site plan, it's been included in that development plan, so it can be taken advantage of in the future. Some of the staff level projects we talked about that were approved: Birdie Brothers outdoor patio, Edmonton State Bank exterior color change, and the Millstone Phase 2 parking lot. Some staff level projects that are pending is the Broken Paddle Outfitters building, and Keith Free had a few comments at the end. There's been an uptick, an increase in pre-application meetings from developers, and we're expecting to see that to continue to grow. Jim and Nick's Restaurant has submitted a project, so if any fans of Jim and Nick's Barbecue, keep an eye out for that in the August meeting. I know. And then Falcon Ridge, if you guys are familiar with that development, they're going to decrease the lot sizes of their development and kind of take advantage of more open spaces. And that's everything from the Planning Commission.
Alderman Martin, thank you. Next, we have our Bowman report from our CUO.
Thank you, Mayor. The report is in your packet. I'm going to point out a few things. Sales tax finished the year about 2.5% above budget. That information at the time that this came out, but that's about where we finished for the year. We continue to see commercial permits that are issued up over 100% from prior year, and residential permits are down. So that trend has been continuing throughout the year. There's a great picture in there of the fireworks. I want to give our Parks Department a big shout out, and our fire and PD. It is a lot of work for everyone to put that on. The chamber puts that event on, but our Parks Department supports that heavily, so they did a great job with that. I mean, it's a fantastic show. It's a great time to live in Hendersonville. So, Andy, thank your team for that. We really appreciate that. And police and fire, great job on that. And I want to thank Miss Annette Hunter. This is the first meeting she put the packets together for everyone. She's going to continue to do that. So her and Tamara have just kind of expanded their role to make city operations a little more efficient. So they'll continue to put these packets together. So thank you, Annette. We had the holiday week and even got it out on time with the holiday week. So thank you. The new trash service contract started, and hopefully you haven't heard much about it. The calls have actually been less than we've expected here, which is a lot different from the last time that we had a new trash service contract. But if you do have any problems, please call our Public Works Department. We'll get you guys squared away. We have a capital projects meeting this Thursday. We're going to talk about the transportation plan, so I invite you to attend that. It'll be this Thursday at 4 o'clock. And then we also have the impact fees that we have re-engaged a consultant with. So that'll probably be coming to the board in the September-October timeframe as we put data together to support those impact fees and kind of get costs put together. So we've already re-engaged a consultant, and you guys will probably see some activity in that September-October timeframe. That concludes my report. Thank you, Mayor.
Alderman Peterson, you have a question?
Thank you, Mayor. Jesse, did we receive the property tax rate from the county yet?
No, we have not.
Weren't we supposed to have it by now?
We do not have it yet.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Peterson. Motion to adjourn? We have a motion from Alderman Goodwin, a second from Alderman Garden. All those in favor, please say aye. Those opposed, please say no. That passes unanimously. Thank you all.